should remember that decency and civility are values too. One of the speakers who will follow me today has crossed that line, I think. Poisonous language doesn't advance our cause.
Well, a day after his Mormonism came under attack from a backer of rival Rick Perry's camp, Mitt Romney is warning social conservatives not to let differences over religion divide them. Earlier today, at the annual Values Voter Summit, he urged Republicans to pick a presidential nominee who has the best record on the economy. Doug McElway is at the summit here in Washington, and he's joining us live with more on all the controversy. Hi, Doug.
Hi, good afternoon to you, Uma. Very interesting back and forth today at the Values Voter Summit over those remarks yesterday by Dallas pastor Robert Jeffress, who, in introducing Governor Rick Perry of Texas, called Mormonism a quote-unquote a cult. Rick Perry then took the stage and said that the pastor hit it out of the ballpark. Well, fast forward to this morning, and we had Governor Mitt Romney speaking here today, as you just saw. He was introduced by the talk radio show host Bill Bennett, who basically excoriated the pastor for those remarks. Listen to Bill Bennett's remarks.
And I would say to Pastor Jeffress, you stepped on and obscured the words of Perry and Santorum and Kane and Bachman and everyone else who has spoken here. You did Rick Perry no good, sir, in what you had to say.
And then Romney took the stage, and he is so adroit at doing, managed to weigh into that issue, but at the same time kind of remain above the fray. Here's Romney.
Speaking of hitting it out of the park, how about that Bill Bennett? Isn't he something else?
Romney received a very warm welcome from this largely socially conservative crowd, especially when he addressed one of the issues which is red hot to them, that of abortion. Here's Romney on abortion.
The law may call it a right, but no one ever called it a good. And in the quiet of conscience, people of both political parties know that more than 1 million abortions a year can't be squared with the good heart of America.
Romney went on to say that he supports the Hyde Amendment, which would end all federal funding of abortion. He wants to end funding for organizations like Planned Parenthood, and he advocates the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade and returning to the states just who should be allowed to have an abortion. Also, I know you're going to be speaking to Ron Paul a little bit later on. He received a very warm welcome from the crowd here this morning, and after his remarks in which he equated libertarianism basically to the teachings of Jesus Christ and made several biblical references, he had a meet and greet with the crowd here. That crowd lined up, I would say, thousands of people long for a chance to meet Ron Paul. He remains a tour de force among the rank and file, among the populace here. Back to you, Uma.
Okay, Doug, thank you very much for that update. Certainly lots going on over there. And religious conservatives will be putting their stamp of approval on at least one candidate today in the Values Voter Straw Poll. The balloting has just ended, with results expected at 3 p.m. Eastern Time today. The only candidate on the poll who did not speak at this conference this weekend was John Huntsman. We're going to see how Atlanta businessman Herman Cain does. Just last month, he made a huge splash in the most recent straw poll, the Florida P5, and that's given him a wave of momentum that he's still riding on today.
This long shot may not be a long shot any longer. One of the other questions that I often get as I close, why are you running for president? To be president. What did I miss? I'm not running to go to Disneyland.
That's the word from Herman Cain there. Okay, one candidate who consistently does well in straw polls held at this type of conservative event is Congressman Ron Paul, and he's joining us now live from the Values Voter Summit. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Nice to be with you.
Nice to have you on board again. The nation's unemployment numbers remain very high at 9%, and this week the president took Republicans in Congress, took aim at them for blocking his efforts to pass what he calls his jobs bill. He says if it doesn't pass, we could end up with double-dip recession. Is that hyped up threats, or is it true?
Well, it's not true. I don't think we've got out of the recession. I think we have a continuous recession. It's turning into a depression, and I don't think it will do any good because until we recognize how we have financial bubbles and why they must burst and why we have to have a correction, we can't solve our problem. And that deals with the monetary system and the spending and the huge amount of debt. Unless you liquidate debt and malinvestment, you can't have economic growth again. And so far, I haven't heard any serious proposal other than coming from our campaign on how you should and proceed with the liquidation of debt so we can get back to economic growth.
Well, are there parts of the president's bill that you can support?
Well, I haven't looked at it in every single detail, but it looks like what he wants to do is spend money. My problem is that our problem is debt. If a family is deeply in debt, you don't tell them to spend more money and all of a sudden things are going to be okay. What we're doing right now is the free market is challenging the Keynesian model on economic policy. Keynesians say that we're in a recession because the people won't spend their money. But they don't have jobs, and they don't have any money, and it's deeply in debt. This whole idea that if the government just prints money and passes it out, and people are going to spend more money, it's a flawed philosophy. And therefore, until we recognize this, we can't expect recovery. We have to not deal with a debt problem with accumulation of more debt and more inflation.
You know, we've been reporting at the top of our show, as you just heard, about the fighting that's going on between the two perceived frontrunners in this race over Mitt Romney's faith. As a Christian, do you think Mormon is part of a cult, as high-profile Keith Perry supporter Pastor Jeffress put it?
No, no way.
What do you think of the remarks that were made?
Well, yeah, I just disagree with them, and I don't know why people make remarks like that. It just looks like they don't want to deal in philosophy, and they want to deal with words and trying to be negative in the way they make these charges. So I think it's unnecessary, since I don't believe it's true. I think we should be talking about unemployment. I think we should be talking about our foreign policy. I think we should be talking about our Federal Reserve System and dealing with the issues that government are supposed to be dealing with. I mean, this whole idea that the most important thing between two candidates right now is the definition of cult, and trying to make it sound negative to one for one person to get the edge over another. I think that, and they are encouraged, of course, by others to keep this thing going, but I don't think that's the issue of the day. I think liberty is the issue of the day, our Constitution is the issue of the day, and too much government, that is the issue of the day. It's not the definition of a cult.
You know, you've been doing well in straw polls in the past. Where do you expect to come out in the Value Voters straw poll this weekend?
I expect to do well, but I have no idea. I don't do head counts. All I do is deliver a message that I've been delivering for 35 years, and I was very pleased that it was well received today. So I felt good. A lot of times I'm very, very critical of myself because I see my flaws, but today I actually felt pretty good about the reception that I got. Let
me ask you real quickly, you say you see your flaws. What flaws are those?
Well, I mean, I look at what I do and I say, well, I could have said that better. You know, just the things where you can improve oneself. So I'm always trying to improve. I don't have much change in my message at all. I've always tried to improve. So if I look at myself, I think, you know, I could have said that a little bit better and made that point. Maybe I forgot to make a point. So I don't, you know, walk off the stage generally and say, yeah, you know, I'm the greatest speaker in the world. I don't do that. I'm always looking for how I can do better.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Occupy Wall Street.